At that point, I was in the psych ward with acute mania. I was determined that I was going to get better or I was going to die trying. This is where the emotion came up when I was thinking about this before. Welcome to the Trans Boss podcast, home of the Trans Boss movement, the place where empowered trans people come to discover what it takes to become the best versions of themselves. I am your host, Jasmine Vine, a Transfem trans empowerment specialist and the CEO of Divine, and I'm here to guide you on this empowering journey. In each episode, we'll dive deep into topics that matter to us trans people, like navigating through societal challenges, as well as building resilience and embracing an empowering mindset. We'll explore it all. We'll also bring on some incredible guests who are making a positive impact in the trans community. The Trans Boss podcast is your go-to resource for empowerment, hope, wisdom, and epic stories from empowered trans bosses across the globe. It's time to kick life's ass and create an empowered, authentic you. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Trans Boss podcast. So today I want to let you in on why helping people out of chronic stress and overwhelm and into confident, calm empowerment is so important to me. I wrote down some notes for this. I did cry writing them, so we're going to try not to cry in this episode, but we'll see how we go. I feel like I have failed people by not doing this sooner. It was July in 2015, and I'd been suicidal for 10 years at that point. I was bullied for about the same amount of time, and I had witnessed traumatic things that I wouldn't wish on anyone. Some really, really horrible things. At that point, I was in the psych ward with acute mania. I was talking to myself, laughing and crying at the same time. I thought I was some big time movie star with special powers. It was a whole thing. I had another label slapped onto me that to accompany the already major depressive disorder and the anxiety and panic disorder and OCD and whatever else I was diagnosed with. Now there's bipolar type 1 as well. And at that point, honestly, I was a barely walking mental health disaster. I lived in a constant state of dissociation. I hated myself. I hated my life. I went to sleep every night wishing that I wouldn't wake up the next day. It was intense, right? And overwhelm was really just my state of being at that point. I was so anxious and depressed so often that my body didn't know how to relax. And I remember a few times where my body felt like it relaxed for the first time in I don't even know how long. And it felt really weird. It felt like if I was holding like a 5 kilo weight and I just had to hold it like that for a week is what it felt like. So then when I relaxed, it was like, what the heck? When my body wasn't so tense. And that wasn't very often. And so it was actually exhausting. It felt like my body just in its rest state felt like I had just gone for a massive run that I wasn't prepared for. That was not a very fun experience. That was not a great way to live. I had zero hope for a better future. And I know that this is a familiar thing for people who are really in that chronic stress and that chronic overwhelm and who experience panic attacks and all that kind of thing. I've spoken to quite a few people who describe similar things. Looking back, by all accounts, I should have been a statistic. And I almost was. I absolutely almost was. The only glimmer of hope I remember having was the comments that I had on my YouTube channel. Videos, people commenting on my videos saying how much I'd helped them by sharing my experience. And it wasn't anything special. I was sharing my HRT updates, I was sharing my laser updates, being openly trans on the platform. That somehow helped people, which was freaking awesome. I absolutely loved it. Because at that point, it felt like my purpose in that world was to help people. I didn't know how to do it. And that was the one way where I was getting affirmation that I was somehow doing it on some level. And I also remember this faint voice in the back of my head. It wasn't a psychotic voice. It was just the voice of my one of my high school teachers. I remember her really just letting me know that I could do anything I wanted in this life, reassuring me and telling me that she believed in me, that I could achieve, great things. And I didn't believe her because, why would I? I thought she was bonkers at the time because I'm like, are you serious? I mean, do you know me? Did not believe her at all. That stuck with me. That voice really stuck with me because I was like, what is she seeing that I'm not? Which is kind of interesting. And I remember while I was sitting in that psych ward, that voice was still there. I know I'm making it sound like it's an actual voice, aren't I? But that voice was still there, and I was writing down a list of like small action steps to focus on while I was there and when I was leaving the psych ward. Someone was helping me write them down and making sure that they were really small, like small actionable things. And to be honest, it was still a little bit overzealous or a bit more of a bigger list than it should have been. For me, it was a really helpful thing at the time, and I'm gonna suggest that for anyone. If you are in this shit with mental health, if you are struggling, writing down a list of very small achievable things and being able to tick off those things, however small they are. It could literally be, I've drunk some water daily. And just being able to tick those off to get that little extra bit of dopamine and to feel like you are achieving something. For me, that was really helpful. Just having that small achievable list. Something snapped in me. Something became really clear. I knew exactly where my life was headed because I've got examples all around me. I've seen in my family, I know where that road goes. I was determined that I was going to get better or I was going to die trying. And I didn't know what that looked like or how that was going to happen. One of the things I wrote on my list was literally just attending regular psych appointments, having my partner attend so that she could recognize symptoms a bit better and be able to bring it to my attention if there's, something I'm missing. So little things like that. Those, the things that I was diagnosed with, I don't even meet the diagnostic criteria for anymore. That is really, really interesting to me because a lot of people have this misunderstanding or this myth that, like, say depression, for example. Depression is a lifelong chronic illness and you're always going to experience it and it'll always be there, but sometimes more intense than others. And I'm like, I don't believe that's true. When you look at the diagnostic criteria in the DSM-5, there's certain criteria to be met for it to even be labelled with that. And whilst I may have met that criteria in the past, I don't meet it now. And I haven't met it for a long time. But anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. After doing a fair bit of healing work and seeing psychologists for 13 years and doing your own coaching and training and all of that, the K10 psychological distress test that I needed to do to be referred to a psychologist, that was something that we did for every referral to, see where I'm at and to go along with the referral. And that used to score 47 out of 50, so indicating severe psychological distress, a lot of, suicidality, a lot of anxiousness, a lot of all things, right? The last one that I did sat at 12 out of 50. And for this particular test, the lowest score you can get is 10 out of 50. Pretty massive stuff. Like, to be able to shift that much. When I was in that doctor's office and he was going over the K10, I felt like I actually had to play up my symptoms so that the doctor didn't turn me away. And I'd never been in that position before because usually I try to play down my symptoms. I try to make sure I'm like coming across better than I was feeling or whatever. And so it was weird to have the roles reversed there. But the healing that I have experienced is absolutely next level. I have achieved results that have shocked my psychologist and results that, quote, shouldn't be possible many, many times. There's a whole lot that I could say on that around the traditional mental health care system and its pitfalls and whatnot. I've seen a lot of that stuff throughout my childhood with my own personal experience, as well as being a suicide crisis counsellor for a couple of years and seeing my mum go through the struggles that she did. The system could be better, let's just put it that way. I had just made the decision. I was not going to be a statistic. I was going to get up. I was going to do what I love to do, which is help people. And to do that, I needed to let go of my past experiences. I needed to choose my new identity. And that's a massive thing, for me, and massively important is your ability to choose your identity. You don't just have a set identity and it's just unchangeable. That is not the case. You can mold into the person who you want to become. You can add new habits. You can delete old habits that don't serve you. You can bring in new beliefs. You can let go of old beliefs. You can heal from your past and not let that define you. Like, there's so many things that you can do to choose who you want to be. Connecting with my values in life was a massive one as well. My purpose in very short terms is inspiring people to stick around. This is why I share my story so strongly, is because people connect to it and they go, if she was in that situation and she's gotten to where she is, maybe there is a little bit of hope for me. And that's all I wish to do, is help people to connect with some hope inside of them, that they can do the things that they want to do and to make plans for their life. That's a massive one that I started doing, is actually started making plans for my life, because for most of my life I didn't think I was going to be here the next year. The reality of it, I thought I was going to suicide, and so I didn't make any plans. I didn't think about what I wanted to study or what I wanted to do or what kind of job I wanted. I didn't think of any of that because it was completely irrelevant, because I wasn't going to be here. So obviously that's not the case, and I am here. And I know a lot of people have that experience where they don't think they're going to be here. And then one day they wake up and they're like, shit, it is like 10 years beyond when I thought I would be alive. And now I actually want to be here. Now I actually do have some drive to stay in this world. But now I've got no idea what to do. It's like, whew, I've got some years to make up for. That is a pretty common experience for people that have grown up with that depression and suicidality. Even though I've experienced that, I live with so much happiness now, so much meaning and so much purpose. My younger self would not even recognize me. She would not recognize me, and not just because I've transitioned since then. But my cousin said to me a little while ago that I'm disgustingly happy, which I found quite funny. He said, you're disgustingly happy and it makes me sick. It's kind of hilarious. But he's right. Like, even today, sometimes I spring out of bed with excitement most days. And it's a little bit embarrassing, but if you ask my partner, she will back this up. I will often wake up and I have this anchor like in my chest where I rub my chest, and it just, immediately it brings out these feelings as, anchoring that you can do in certain psychological practices. And I will do that and I will just yell, yeah, life is so exciting. Fuck yes. Like, that is how I wake up most days. It is completely just how I feel. It's like, oh my gosh, I get to do what I love to do. It is time to do this thing today, or I've got this client today, or I'm doing this. It just feels invigorating. It feels exciting. It feels purposeful. Purpose is a key component to happiness. We need to have purpose in life in order to feel happy. That is why I'm so passionate about this, because I've seen my own transformation. I've seen transformation in other people that I've worked with, and I've seen that people who have given a really bad hand of cards can still turn it around and love their life at the end of it. That is really inspiring to me. Be able to kick your inner critic's ass, to love life despite the crap that you've experienced. That's powerful. I absolutely love that. A big feeling that has come up, and this is where the emotion came up when I was thinking about this before, is the feeling of failing people. I don't truly believe that I failed people, and it is something that I can accept. Like, I'll go into exactly what I mean. But a little while ago, a lot of emotion came up because I know that I have the skills and ability to help people with these things, to help people with chronic stress and to heal from traumas and all of that stuff. I've done that work with people for many years, but I haven't been promoting it. I haven't been doing it very consistently. I've only really been taking on some, one-on-one clients here and there and doing that work. It felt like a moral failing on my part. It felt like, I'm thinking of all these people that I could have helped on this deeper level and who I failed. Is really how it felt. It's literally a sticky note on my desk. It says, whose lives could you save by taking action? And that really gets me thinking. I think about who might not be alive now because I didn't take action, because I didn't help people in the way that I know I can help people. Who might not be here? And that is just gut-wrenching to me. Like, that is absolutely unacceptable. There's a lot to this. There is absolutely so much to this because, hello lovely, if you like what you're hearing so far, and I hope you do, then you are going to love the free trainings that I have. So these trainings have helped hundreds of my own clients and my followers get into a place of empowerment, loving their authentic selves with more hope, comfort, confidence, and safety. And that is really what we're all about here. So if you're listening to this podcast, there's something for you, trans or not, whether you're interested in trauma healing or, learning to live a more empowered life, in control life, or if you're just sick of your voice getting you misgendered, then these trainings break down my core methodologies to help you with all of that and more. And it's the methodologies that I use with all of my clients. So you can register for that via the link in the description box below, and I will see you there. Mwah. Now let's get back into the episode. This motivation of mine isn't healthy. I understand that that's not a healthy motivation, because also that is taking responsibility for other people's lives. It's very much like a savior complex. It's a savior complex. I was brought up to have a savior complex because of all the stuff in my childhood, but consistently what has got me moving in the past is thinking about, what if there are people who could have been alive that aren't alive because you didn't take action? And I'm like, whoa, that motivates me to no end, but it motivates me out of a stress response. Dopamine, which is, our hormone that helps us feel motivated and helps us initiate tasks and get things done and all of that, our reward hormone, there's two paths to getting it. What most people do nowadays is they get dopamine off of the back of stress, off of the back of cortisol. I see this a lot in the ADHD community. Like, people will wait till the very last second until a deadline is looming, and then they'll get the motivation to start and do the things. And that's because they're getting that dopamine for that task initiation off the back of the cortisol and the stress. And that is one way that we can get that and initiate that. But it's not a very healthy way to do it. It's not a way that is very forward focused. Another way that you can get it is off the back of oxytocin, off the back of our love hormone, when we feel connected and loved and, connected to those around us, or with a higher purpose and all of that kind of thing, that can help motivate us too. Caffeine does, stimulants do, some of them are more healthy than others, but all of those things need to be taken into consideration. And that's what I'm considering when it comes to what's motivating me to do the things that I want to do. Just the realization that I had the other day from, where I was coming from. Because before I started the vocal feminization side of my business, Divine, I was fully focused on trauma healing. I was fully focused on nervous system regulation, on educating people about the unconscious mind, helping them set goals and, set meaningful goals and smash them. Like, that was my focus, and I absolutely loved it. I love doing that. It does take more mental energy than the vocal side of things. It takes a little bit more thinking, a little bit more diving into things. I absolutely loved it. And what I found is it wasn't that sustainable. At the time, the business wasn't making money. Everyone was asking me for vocal feminization help because, I've clearly had some really good results in that, and I could teach people, and I was doing that. Not many people wanted to do the deeper inner healing work. And I saw on social media as well, when I would post a video about vocal feminization, I'd demonstrate the vocal shift and all of that. People would go crazy for it. They're like, yeah, likes galore and comments and blah, blah, blah. And that was really good for business. That, that really helps. And versus when I get on there and I'm like, hey, let's talk about your childhood trauma. Not many people went for that. Turns out, if you ask a Transfem person, would you like help with vocal feminization or would you like therapy? Most of them choose the vocal feminization. So at that point, my card was declining for even small purchases. I took the advice of a coach at the time who said, give people what they want. Like, people are asking you for this. People are asking you for the vocal feminization work. It's something that you can do. You're competent at it. Like, do that. I really resisted it for a long time, and is really great advice for business, but not very good for my soul. And that's not to say, that I don't like vocal feminization work. I do. I love that I get to do that, and I still see the benefit in it, and it has a deeper emotional benefit as well. However, I know that I can do so much more. I do sprinkle bits and pieces of the mindset stuff into the vocal work as well, because it's very important. You can't have anything without that. Still, I know that I can do so much more. So 2024 is the year that I have made a commitment to actually help people with their mental health and mindsets on a much deeper level. And that's why I started this podcast from the get-go, because there's so much inside of me that I want to share, that I want to get out there, that I know is helpful for people. People are telling me how much it's helping them and all of that. I'm getting these beautiful messages, but I know I can do more. And it's this consistent thing of I can do more, I can do more, I can do more. And I need to make sure that I am balancing that with my own mental health and my own boundaries and whatnot as well. And that's what I've struggled with before. At the moment, Javina's growing a bit more. We're getting a little bit more, finances coming in. It's not quite as tight as it once was. It's nowhere near what it needs to be. I've probably profited $600 for the for the financial year the last time I checked. So it's still not making money exactly, but the cash flow isn't quite as tight. It's not so dire. It's not to the point that I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. It's it's kind of breaking even essentially. Is the right time to get back into that space. Now, I feel like I've got a little bit of wiggle room to do that because the FEMVOICE side is growing. I've got, stuff happening there. And I see a future for how to grow that and how to help more people in that space. And now I really want to make sure I'm helping people in the trauma healing and unconscious mind and, belief space as well, because that's very, very important to me. It feels like to not do that would be selfish. And it's not. I know that it's not. Having been that hopeless, suicidal person and knowing that there are others in that same boat, it feels like I've just been ignoring the people who need help because focusing on them wasn't paying the bills. And that's what I mean when I say it feels selfish. I don't think it is a negative thing or a bad thing to be selfish. I think everyone could stand to be a little bit more selfish, quite honestly. As much as helping people means to me, as important as that is to me, I know first and foremost, I need to look after myself. I need to make sure that I'm good, that what I'm building is sustainable, that it's scalable, that I'm going to be able to help more people. Because sure, I could help individual people on a really great level by walking the street and finding people that seem upset and interjecting, sure, that would be fantastic. That'd be a great impact. However, for me, it's really important to be able to scale my impact. I want to help a lot of people in my lifetime. I can't only do that one-on-one. That's not possible. That's not within my realm of what I want to do. It is to a degree, but I want to scale my impact massively. And I know to do that, I have to make sure that what I'm building has the capability to do that, to be able to scale, to make a longer term sustainable impact. I don't regret making that pivot. I feel like it was the right decision to get myself into a position where I can do that without the threat of becoming homeless. And now, not doing that deeper inner work feels more intolerable. It feels more upsetting, but I still don't regret it. And this is what I want a lot of you to, a lot of you who want to help other people, who have been through difficult situations in their life, and you want to help other people get hope and help them feel better about themselves and all of that, because that's what a lot of people who have experienced stuff do. And I know a lot of you watching this, listening to this, would feel that same way, that you do want to give back in some way and help other people. I want you to understand that you cannot do that without looking after yourself first. You need to make sure that you are okay first and foremost. Otherwise, that is just a recipe for burnout. You will burn yourself out to the max if you try to help everyone else and not look after yourself. And then you won't be able to help anyone. I understand that, and I'm able to make some really difficult decisions based on that feel really uncomfortable, that feel really challenging. That is what needs to happen. That is what you need to do if you want to make a larger, more sustainable impact. This is something that I want to help other people do. If you want to help other people, listen to these episodes, listen to this podcast, listen to or read self-help books, read mental health books, and look after yourself, because looking after you is looking after other people. Getting yourself right is helping other people. Literally, we have an energetic effect on the people around us. Just as someone can go into a crowded space and be laughing with like tears of laughter and completely losing their minds. Other people will go, what are they laughing about? And we'll start laughing at them laughing. That's contagious. And what I want you to understand is the same thing is true for your mental healthiness, for the way you hold yourself, the way you hold your boundaries, the way you care about other people, the way you show kindness and compassion. That stuff is contagious. And if you work on that within yourself first, that has a ripple effect. It causes you to not burn out and to be able to help more people. And that is something that I really want to help people to do. And in the future, the long-term future of Divine, I would love to work with people to help increase their impact and to help them really put that into practice. Because again, like, I'm just one person. I can scale my impact as much as I can, but a way that I can scale my impact is helping you to help other people as well. Because then you're scaling your impact and creating a ripple effect that creates more empowerment, more hope, more kindness, more love across the world. I can't do that on my own. And if you are in for that journey, I am so grateful for you, because we need so many more of those people in the world. So many more healers and people who are, lifting people up. That is so important. That is it for this one. I really just wanted to share with you how I was feeling not so long ago, and understanding that there can be this feeling of, I'm not doing good enough, or I'm not doing enough, or, I could be doing more, and blah, blah, blah. And it's okay to feel that. It's okay to, understand that that's there and to experience that, but it's not okay to sit in it, because it's not your fault. You don't have to do anything. You're not obligated to do anything. You want to, because you're a good person. By looking after yourself, you enable yourself to be able to do that more. So with that, I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Trans Boss podcast. If you support the Trans Boss movement, it would help immensely if you could leave a review on your favorite podcasting app, follow us, and share your biggest takeaway from this episode on social media. Don't forget to tag me at jasmine.vinee on Instagram, because I would love to see it. Now get out there, do the things, and take the next step into that empowered life you deserve. See you next time.